Since her debut as assistant director of Precure Splash Star in 2006, Rie Matsumoto has grown to a certain level of infamy for producing consistently stellar work at what's a really young age for directors in the industry. Between helming Precure incarnations and delivering on the more recent Kekai Sensen, though, Matsumoto picked up what can best be described as a passion project. When Bon Presto approached Matsumoto about Kyousougiga, there was only an idea. At that time, I had only heard that the main character will be a girl with a weapon. As nothing had yet been decided, the feeling at that point was to just do what you want. Kyousougiga really pushes the line when it comes to conventional anime. Taking after its namesake, the Kyousougiga, a famous set of picture scrolls from 13th century Japan, the show is framed so as to mimic a story told along a scroll. Between this unique design and Matsumoto's characteristically disjointed method of storytelling, Kyousougiga comes off as more than a little avant-garde. Behind its novel style, though, I think Kyousougiga has a lot to say narratively speaking as well. And now that we've gotten some context to work with, that's where I want to direct most of our focus.
かつていくつかの星々が混在し、人と神との境が曖昧だった頃、これはとある一家をめぐる愛と再生の物語である。
Kyousougiga follows what can only be described as the most eccentric of families. Fathered by the god of life, mothered by an incarnation of the Buddha, the family progeny consists of two drawings, an immortal and Koto, who has more than enough quirks to make up for her humanity. I'm going to give each of these characters some love, but first I need to set some ground rules. You see, this is Myoe, and this is Myoe, and this is Koto, and this is Koto, and they're all different people, and that's annoying. So for clarity's sake, I'm going to use some of the other names they go by. For our purposes, this is Inari, and this is Myoe. This is Lady Koto, and this is Koto. Good, good. So, Kyousougiga. Let's start at the beginning.
見たいって言うから書いたのに。ああ、うまくいかないね。
やっぱりここは化け物寺じゃ。商人様はもののけじゃ。何かされたってわけでもないんだけどね。ねえ。
人と狐を親に持つとか。商人様は大変徳の高い方でございます。が、陰陽の神と通じて恐ろしいことをしているとか。
何かあったら困ります。
This is Inari. One of God's two sons, Inari was tasked with creating life, while his brother was tasked with ordering it. Inari has been around since the start of everything. That's time enough to do anything and everything, and in that time, he's grown to loathe his existence, and seeks an escape from it all. One day, however, an old drawing of his, a black rabbit named Koto, is granted a body by the Buddha and turns Inari's life on its head. Lady Koto had watched him for years, and had since grown to love him. Inari too returns these feelings in time. The two start a family together, but being the oddities they are, they're eventually forsaken by the locals, who demand something be done about the strange priest and his strange kin. With nowhere to go, Inari uses his powers to create a whole world just for them. Kyoto, the mirror capital, the city in the looking glass. A place where everything is as they want it, somewhere they can call home. But truly good things never do last, and one day the mother and father both disappear, leaving the children alone to rule their paradise. The children deal with their parents' departure in different ways, but all three struggle with the same quandary. In a place where nothing ever dies, and no one is born, where every day is as perfect as the last, with no compass to guide them, what's the point in it all? Under such circumstances, how, where does one find meaning? I think it's an interesting question to explore, because the pursuit of meaning is something most of us can relate to, at least in some capacity. It's almost innate. What's more, despite its ubiquity in our lives, meaning is something we all grapple with in different ways, with varying levels of success. There is no universal definition of meaning or purpose, nor is there any guide on how to find it. For the characters in Kyousougiga, this is all too evident. With every basic need and want met, they have all the time in the world to wrestle with ideas of meaning. Purpose is one of the few things their paradise can't provide them. Yase, the middle child, is one of Inari's drawings and a demon by design. She seeks meaning in the past, hoarding everything, submerging herself in memories of bygone times. It's why she hates the day of the station opening so much. The opening is the time to rid oneself of what's no longer needed, to let go and to move on. Every piece of junk that's whisked away is a memory forgotten, a reminder of what she's lost and can't reclaim. This focus on the past is also why Yase is the most adamant of the children when it comes to reuniting with their parents. Yase believes that if their parents return, things can go back to how they once were. The past she remembers can become reality. For her, that's the only reality that means anything. Despite also being a drawing, Kurama, the eldest child, is in a lot of ways the inverse of Yase. He is always looking ahead, looking outward. He feels trapped in the capital and longs to leave for other worlds. As long as he stays here, he will never be satisfied. No meaning can come from a place where life and death both are static, where the beginning and the end are non-existent. Kurama has always been like this, even before his parents' departure. Meaning was always elsewhere. The grass was always greener on the other side, the truth just around the next corner. Just look at his reasoning for wanting their parents to return. Unlike Yase, he could seemingly care less about actually reuniting with his mother and father. Rather, he just wants something to change, to break the monotony. What's more, if anyone can release him from this world, it's Inari, the one who created it in the first place. That leaves us with Mioe, the youngest child. Mioe deviates from his siblings in that he is, at least somewhat, human. After losing his home and entire family, Inari found him, nursed him back to health, and took him in. Catch being, nursing him back to health included having him eat a sacred fruit that makes him immortal. Yeah. How's that for a pre-existing condition? On the day he lost everything, Mioe tried to end his life. He had placed his meaning in others, in his family. Now that they were gone, his life was without meaning, and a life without meaning can't be worth living, can it? This feeling never really went away. We can see that Mioe grew to cherish his time with his new family, that he loved his adopted parents and siblings. But now that those times are gone, Mioe's earlier resolve is only granted credibility. These good times always end. So why bother seeking them? Why bother sticking around to watch them leave? Mioe isn't like his siblings. He's not searching for meaning. He gave up on that a long time ago. Mioe wants out. Ironic, considering he's the only child who physically isn't allowed to take that option.
Iつかあなたをここから連れ出してくれる人が現れるといいわね、明恵。
Enter Koto.
いつか必ず始まりと終わりを連れてここに帰ってくるよ。約束だ。待っていてね、明恵。
明恵、ねえ、外が変なの？
なんだいこりゃ。地獄の蓋が開いたような騒ぎじゃないか。
あながち間違ってないかもしれませんよ。開いたのは天国の扉の可能性もありますけどね。
綺麗ね。ここにも一つ欲しいわ。誰か取ってこられないの？ いないよくそー、せっかく見つけたのに星の果てまで追いかけて探し出してやる。
Koto is the only biological child of Inari and Lady Koto, having been conceived after her parents' departure from the capital. Chasing stories from her father, Koto found a way into the typically inaccessible city of the Looking Glass. Koto is much like a natural disaster, a walking catastrophe that disrupts everything around her. The embodiment of childlike innocence and wanderlust, Koto is an unpredictable agent of chaos in her siblings' typically ordered, predictable city. Even before realizing that she's his sister, Myoe takes in Koto and her compatriots. Though he'd likely claim that she imposed upon him, it becomes apparent that Myoe really does value the excitement and honesty Koto brings to the table. You see, Koto is unique from her siblings in that she's almost entirely without meaning. The kind of purposelessness only found in young children who move through the world without a care. Sure, when she first arrives, she claims to be searching for her mother, but for most of her stay, she's just goofing off or helping others with their problems. And boy does she help others. Koto's blunt honesty and hard-on-her-sleeve demeanor inspires dependability, and her siblings are all too quick to exploit her for it. Yase and Kuruma both push their problems onto her and see her as a means to an end, a tool to bring about reunion with their parents. Even Myoe, who places himself in opposition to the other two, eventually relies on Koto, seeing her as the escape he's been waiting for. For him, Koto is a promise fulfilled, the beginning and the end, the mother and the father returned. Koto's meaninglessness allows the other characters to find meaning in her. In fact, Koto is the one character who's not allowed to exist for herself. The one time she opens up about this, expressing her desire to depend on others for once, she's immediately rebuked.
みんな私に頼み事ばっかするの。なんで？
こと。
私だって聞きたいこととか頼みたいこといっぱいあるのに。なのにみんな私には何も教えてくれない。
おい、落ち着けよ、こと。
もうやだ。私だっていろいろあるのに。
それは君が特別だからだ。仕方ないんだよ、こと。
先生。
ま、要は慣れだな。
The characters' struggle to find purpose eventually culminates in their parents' return, and their father's betrayal. I mentioned earlier that Inari had grown tired of his place in the world. What meaning is there in eternity, after all? While he loves his wife and children, this feeling isn't something he could easily shake. Make no mistake, Inari wants to die. This parallel between father and son isn't an accident. See, Inari didn't need to make Myoe immortal in order to save him all those years ago. No, he made Myoe immortal so his son could take his place. There must always be a creator, someone to weave life into the world, but it need not be Inari. If he could pass the job onto someone else, then God would finally let him disappear. To this end, before he leaves, Inari bestows upon Myoe the power to sow life from nothing. Unfortunately, Myoe is too much like his father. He never actually does anything with this power, and instead lazes around the capital, waiting for some end to come and release him. His first attempt a failure, Inari meant to try again with Koto, granting her a similar power. Koto, though, being Koto, twisted the gift into something unpredictable. In her hands, his power became a weapon of destruction. Koto's hammer, Aratama, capable of shattering the barriers between worlds and breaking the unbreakable. For Inari, this was above and beyond his wildest expectations. She was perfect. If he wouldn't be allowed to die, he would use Koto to destroy everything, until there was no world left for him to exist in. It's only by combining their respective gifts of creation and destruction that Myoe and Koto, the beginning and the end, thwart their father's plans. After a quick pit stop to chat with God, Koto moves into the final confrontation with her father, where she speaks to the soul of the story. To Koto, the other character's relentless pursuit of meaning is asinine. What Koto knows is this: she's found her mother and she loves her. She met her long-lost siblings and she loves them. In the capital, she's found a place where she feels she belongs. A place where she can be cared for and care in return, and that's enough. Who would jeopardize that for something as ambiguous and unattainable as meaning? This message echoes throughout the tale. Yase's fixation on the past precludes her from forming relationships in the present, and it's Koto that shows her there are people who love her in the now, that the now is worth living in, worth accepting, and that new memories can be made there. Kurama, always chasing the future, nearly killed Koto in his search for purpose, and it's not until his whole world sits on the brink that he learns to value what he's about to lose. And Myoe, in his nihilistic stupor, neglects those most important to him. He's surrounded by people who care for him, and he doesn't even realize it because he's too busy wanting to die. As Koto opens his eyes to the possibility around him, he's able to find some value in living, even if just for one more day. Koto, always the strongest character in the story, shows us that we don't need to chase meaning. We don't need to lose ourselves in beginnings or worry about the end. They're one and the same. Everything we could ever want is right here, right now, ripe for the taking. We don't need some greater purpose. Sometimes, just existing is enough.
判決を下す。魂は子供たちが引き継ぎ、お前はここに残るのだ。
父さん？
お疲れ。
残れって言っても、俺はもう何も持ってないのに。俺自身には何も。父さん！
いるだけじゃいかんのか。いるだけじゃいかんのか。理由としちゃそれで十分さ、息子よ。
時々思う気持ちが晴れる
I can never be the kind of person Koto is, can never live my life the way she'd want me to. I'm far too wrapped up in the future and what it might bring. I think a lot of us are. Our world moves so fast that the past can't be afforded any time, and the closest thing to living in the present is being 10 steps ahead of it. Nonetheless, I can't say I particularly like the way things are, and Koto's way of doing things is fun to think about, even if I can never get there myself. But who knows? New beginnings happen every day, and the ending is a long way off. The possibilities are endless.